G'day and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another one of my EV realist videos in which I seek to inject a note of sanity into the breathless hysteria of net zero and EVs. So if you like this kind of content, it'd be great to have you as a subscriber, and don't forget to enable all notifications so you never miss another video. So grab your popcorn, folks, because this one's a doozy. It was always going to be hugely entertaining to have a Middle East oil baron running a climate change conference, but this has turned out far more hilarious than anyone could have possibly imagined. Let's remind ourselves that the only reason we have a mad dash for EVs is because we have a mad dash for net zero, and that's being driven by the absolute crazy climate alarmism of the United Nations. In a previous video, I talked about how China and India had absolutely no intention of giving up their coal-fired power stations because they're far more interested in raising their populations out of poverty and improving their economic situation. Contrast this with the Western world, which seems intent on sending us all back to the Dark Ages and betting the farm on just farts and sunbeams. In another video, I explained how the United Nations makes sure that absolutely no dissenting voices are ever heard within the hallowed walls of those climate change conferences. This is because there are so many people with vested financial interests in the green bandwagon. They make sure that the mad dash for net zero by 2050 cannot possibly be derailed by any contrary views, no matter how rational or reasonable. This means that highly credentialed scientists that have undertaken research that might temper the urgency that's being generated within these conferences are ostracized and excluded. Like I said before, if they really genuinely wanted to get to the truth about the human influences on the climate, they would welcome these dissenting voices with open arms. But they are in fact a bunch of dishonest environmental grifters, and therefore must keep any alternative views far away with the well-worn chant of "the science is settled." If there were no hysterical crisis, there would be no need for this mad dash to net zero by 2050, which is essentially in the blink of an eye. And there would be no need to demonize coal, oil and gas, which have powered a remarkable advancement in human civilization over the last 200 years. So it's hilarious to see the head of the COP28 climate conference say the quiet part out loud, that fossil fuels will be needed for decades to come while a sensible transition to alternative energy is undertaken. The Guardian is naturally hyperventilating about this. COP28 president says there is no science behind demands for phase out of fossil fuels. Exclusive. UAE's Sultan Al Jaber says phase out of coal, oil and gas would take world back into caves. Yes, it would. The president of COP28, Sultan Al Jaber, has claimed there is no science indicating that a phase-out of fossil fuels is needed to restrict global heating. Notice it's global heating, not warming, because that's more alarmist. The Guardian and the Centre for Climate Reporting can reveal. Al Jaber also said that phase-out of fossil fuels would not allow sustainable development unless you want to take the world back into caves. The comments were incredibly concerning and verging on climate denial, scientists said, and they were at odds with the position of the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, who is a complete moron. Al Jaber made the comments in ill-tempered responses to questions from Mary Robinson, the chair of the Elders Group and a former UN Special Envoy for Climate Change, during a live online event on 21st November. As well as running COP28 in Dubai, Al Jaber is also the chief executive of the United Arab Emirates state oil company, ADNOC, which many observers see as a serious conflict of interest. Let's just watch a short clip of this exchange because it's hilarious.
I accepted to come to this meeting to have a sober and a mature conversation. I'm not in any way signing up to any discussion that is alarmist. I am here factual and I respect the science. And there is no science out there or no scenario out there that says that the phase out of fossil fuel is what's going to achieve 1.5. 1.5 is my North Star. And a phase down and a phase out of fossil fuel, in my view, is inevitable. It is essential, but we need to be real, serious, and pragmatic about it.
But the real serious and pragmatic doesn't take into account that we are in. I mean, I respect that you've done a lot of hard work preparing for this COP and that you've listened to the science. The science is very acute now. We don't have any time. They say 6 or 7 years. We've got to peak by 2025 latest.
That is absolute nonsense. They've been saying 6 or 7 years for the last 50 years. literally. There's so many deadlines. Oh, we've got to act within the next 36 months or else the planet's going to end. I mean, it's just absolute nonsense. Oh, it's brilliant. It really is brilliant. And then, of course, you know, all the climate morons come out of the woodwork. Guterres told COP28 delegates on Friday, the science is clear. The 1.5C limit is only possible if we ultimately stop burning all fossil fuels, not reduce, not abate, phase out with a clear time frame. I mean, they're living in cloud cuckoo land if they think that we're going to get to net zero by 2050. So you don't need to go out and buy an EV to save the planet, because it will make no difference. China and India will continue burning coal, and the rest of us will need fossil fuels for decades and decades to come. This has got to be an orderly, sensible transition to alternative energies, not something that can be rushed through by 2050. Anyway, that's just about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. If you have any tips or stories, you can hit me up on Instagram or by email. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.